Morning campers! I'm at Long Branch Shelter and I'm gonna be heading out to Winding Stair Gap. So far it is not raining, so that's good, and it's really good for the folks that haven't yet climbed up Albert, because it'll make their ascent this morning so much nicer. So hopefully the rain holds off until I get down to the gap. That would be awesome. I will check in with you guys later. Bye. Hey guys, so this is what I remember about North Carolina. For the past like half mile, it's been this gentle kind of traverse along the hillside, cruising along. Honestly, if this were Georgia, they would have had us straight up and over. None of this nice, lovely, gentle elevation change, meandering around. So, thank you, North Carolina. My feet that are exhausted from yesterday's adventure are very much appreciative. All right, talk later. Bye. The other day, 2 days ago, when I left Georgia, or the day I was leaving Georgia, I was still in Georgia when this happened, and it was raining. I slipped on a rock and fell, landed on my right hand. My pack got flung violently to the right, and my right trekking pole collapsed. I mean, it didn't break, but it just telescoped back into itself. And it was funny because, like, the first thing I thought, I was like, oh crap, I hope I didn't break my pack. And I was like, oh crap, I think I broke my trekking pole. And I was like, oh, I hope I didn't rip my rain gear. And then the last thing was like, oh, it would kind of suck if I broke my wrist. But what was interesting, when I got to Muskrat Shelter later and had like unloaded and was getting ready to hang up my pack, I noticed that the top stay had popped out of its moorings, and the trampoline is all kind of out of whack. So there's like a trampoline kind of thing on the back of these the Z-Pack Arc series that when you arc the pack, the trampoline is resting against your back, but there's a space, an airway between you and your pack. And you can arc it if you want, you don't have to arc it, but mine is kind of out of whack. So when I get off the trail today, unload all my gear, get sorted out, I'm gonna try to figure out what happened and rewrite my pack, because currently the way it's at, I couldn't arc it if I wanted to. But anyway, all right, I'm gonna shut this off because I'm going down. Bye. And for those of you playing along at home, that was the first of what I'm sure will be many falls on this journey to Katahdin. All right, ciao. So down there in the distance is Rock Gap Shelter and Rock Gap Shelter Privy, which when you're standing here on the hillside, somebody's in there, there ain't so much privacy going on. So anyway, moving on. came from down there. All right, this feels a little bit like Georgia. Pretty steep up. Fortunately, I don't have very much further to go. And then I cut across. Got about a mile down into Winding Stair Gap, which is where my husband is waiting for me. I'm actually gonna zero at home for a couple days. This is the last easy opportunity where it's only about a 2-hour drive to our house. So since I probably would have zeroed in Franklin anyway, can save some money and see my family. So mostly the see my family part. But anyway, so this is kind of funny. Last night I got into the shelter area and there's like just 2 other people there when I got there, and my plan was to tent. So I found a tent pad and set up my tent, unloaded my pack, had everything out of it, had my pack hung on my trekking pole. I like to hang my pack there underneath the vestibule, keep it out of the tent and out of the elements at the same time. Everything was out of it. Grabbed my dinner, went up to sit by the fire and have dinner, and we're sitting there and it's totally still. There's no wind, there's no rain. All of a sudden this massive limb comes crashing to the ground. Not terribly far from where one of the guys had his hammock set up. So I'm like, okay, I'm sleeping in the shelter tonight. So that's why I ended up inside the shelter, and I'm glad I did. It's so funny, because like before I started this trip, I'm like, I'm never gonna sleep in a shelter unless I absolutely have to. I'm only gonna stay in one when I get to the Smokies. I kind of like shelters, but so far I haven't noticed any mice. I haven't heard them, haven't seen them, haven't felt them. So that probably is a big part of it, why it hasn't been so bad for me. But anyway, heading down. Oh, by the way, if you are in the bubble season and you're thinking about tenting at that shelter, I believe it's Long Branch Shelter. If I'm mistaken, I'll add it on. But if that's your plan, if your plan is to tent there, just be aware that it says there's 4 tent pads. I only saw 3, and it's not one of those places where, you know, you see in AWOL that there's X number of tent pads and you're like, oh, I'll just find a spot. You're not gonna find a spot. It's really steep. I mean, the shelter's huge. Shelter says it sleeps 16, and I believe it's a double-decker shelter, and it's really deep, so you could almost have a couple people laying perpendicular to all the sardines. So, but like, don't roll in there late and think you're gonna find a spot to pitch a tent, because you might be out of luck. If you're hammocking, tons of trees. You're set if you're hammocking. Tenting is another matter. All right, I'm gonna turn this off and focus because I'm going downhill, and downhill seems to be bothering me more than uphill these days. So, all right, talk to you later. Bye.